Good morning, guys and girls, and here we are at another wonderful day today. It's been snowing for the past 3 days in London, and it's getting really boring at times because generally I didn't want it to snow because I wanted to go and have a pleasant day, but Britain's weather is horrible. It never has been better than this, really. Okay, so let's get on to the video. This is a reaction video of a reaction video to a top 10 reasons ways that vegans are ruining the world video by top 10 list. So basically I'm going to be reacting to this vegan who did a response video to top 10. So I will be giving some of my opinions after the video. And please, if you are copyrighting my videos, please, before you put a copyright claim, please write personally to my minds.com or my Facebook webpage that I will put in the link after the video. So cheerios, let's go. Yeah. So yeah, there's been many videos since then. So I think that doesn't prove anything right now because it's just always biased created by vegans that you like. So look, certainly, and some people disagree. Look, this I'm going to be doing the devil's advocate in this video against some of Mike Wiggins' supposed reasonable arguments for veganism as opposed to the bad, evil top 10 YouTubers, top 10, the YouTubers behind top 10.
Not true, so stay tuned and see if you also believed those myths. All right, let's go. And real quick, I finally found an ethically sourced shirt to print on. I'm doing a little bonfire.com campaign. Vegans are often called killjoys, so I decided to be a kalejoy instead. Isn't the kale so cute? It's actually going to be printed a little bit higher up like this one, so links in the description. All right, now to the video. So the countdown from number 10. Get a load of this one.
Number 10. Environmental footprint. They controversially claim that eating lettuce is over 3 times worse in terms of greenhouse gas emissions than eating bacon.
I actually had to laugh out.
Okay, now he's talking a bit off the tone here. He's just saying, "Oh God, what's wrong with my audio levels?" Okay, all right, let's see if it's working now. You can't hear him speak for some reason. Okay, no. Okay, let me check now. If I do that.
Opposite is true. This is like calling the sun cold or the ocean dry.
Okay.
They of course point to the
you can
lettuce
hear
emits
him in
more
the
greenhouse
desktop
gases than
video.
bacon study.
Okay, so he's cutting to a study by where energy use a blue witch print by Springer Link. Oh, this is such an abstract journal. I can't believe this is taking out such a biased view. No, such a biased scientific view, like sources. Okay, let's go to his source. Links and sources. Bacon with lettuce study. USDA meat consumption summary. Let's check. Alright, so here we go. We have this energy use of blueprint. The article measures the changes in energy use blue waterprint, shifting from current US diet to dietary scenario. One decreases energy uses blue. USDA recommended food mix increases for greater calorie intake, fruits, vegetables, dairy. Perhaps counterintuitive results are primarily due to USDA recommendations for greater caloric intake of fruits, vegetables, dairy, and fish and seafood, relatively higher resource usage emissions per calorie. So basically, he's saying that using this study by Michelle S. Tom, Chris Hedrick, three of them in 2015, this shows that the farming causes more caloric per emissions per calorie for fish dairy combined as opposed to counterintuitive vegetables. But the problem with this article is that it says by blue water fruit. This is only done in aquatic areas of the world. So, for example, if you were like in Nepal or in some Goa, for example, southwest of India, and these studies will be absolutely different because it's not based in the U.S. And this Mike the Vegan has a such American-centric view of the diet. Yeah, predominantly his videos aimed at the United States American audience or North American audience, including Canadians who was also watch his YouTube videos. But predominantly, most of his study here is quite factually counterintuitive to itself as well. So the paradox is that they're pointing out a counterintuitive serial sequence when in fact it's not counterintuitive at all. So yeah, I'll see why. Some people don't understand why.
Which is a horrible representation of real vegan diets, which usually replace bacon with super low carbon
So
things
big
like
diet.
legumes. According to the
Big
USDA, in 2012, we ate about
horrible of red meat per year. USDA, the very USDA who allows fraud, organic fraud to be committed every day. Wow. Mike the Vegan, can you just get out of your American centrism? I know you're freaking American, but isn't America is like the police of the world? If you're going to act as the expert here, you should even be conducting comparisons, like having another peer assessed by not just by the USDA Organic Agriculture Association. Can don't you have another study where it's by, like for example, the European Farming Community Soil Association, which is based in the UK, primarily in Scotland area. Yeah, so Soil Association and EU's non-agriculture, no, sorry, no, non-EU and EU Agriculture Import Association, basically the leaf symbol people. Why don't you find any of that studies to back up all your claims, so to make it more stronger looking? Well, what you just give is like the FDA, USDA are just like really corrupt. You have to know they're all really corrupt. You say that USD have strict farming standards and research standards, but in fact, many of its legislations do not get passed through, and some of the policies even allow loopholes to be taken place. This causes a startling amount of suspicions for the level of your credibility here, because you're just only comparing USDA. Yeah, you see from all the links, you only give USDA meat consumption, and the guy who's doing top 15, he does the internationally around the world. It's not just America. USDA does not control the whole world. It's by the United States Department of Agriculture. Why can't you back up with something like more credible organic farming standards, food standard agencies like the UK ones that just I mentioned before? Soil Association. Soil Association was founded in 1950, by the way.
about 71
Alright.
pounds of red meat a year, which is about 3.2 ounces a day, the caloric equivalent to almost 6 heads of lettuce. So right there you can see how impractical this comparison is for the environment. But let's look at what actual diets emit. This study looked at dietary emissions. The highest bar is actually the average amount of meat consumed in the US. The average American is over 2 times the dietary footprint of vegan. Animal products actually are ruining the environment, though. Depending on the report, it is either a leading or the leading cause of greenhouse gas emissions. to 90% of Amazon destruction, is likely the leading cause of species extinction, uses a third of the Earth's freshwater,
Overfishing. My days, when you talk about greenhouse gas, I just think of some Looney Tunes guy from from Sesame Street, like a Muppet, going on about. It's not supposed to be condescending for you, but you give me lots of sources link that doesn't seem to match any of what you're saying.
1/3 to 1/2 of the Earth's
Almost
grain
50% of grains produced in the world are fed to livestock. Almost 50%. Yeah, are you seeing that?
about half.
Yeah, you seeing that shocking? Back then, it was all the case. Back then, like grass. It's amazing that you forgot to talk about proteins. Vegans talk about proteins for this, the causes of acne. I bet this guy will say that anti-vaxxers are basically killing off the human race in the future.
Half of our land in the US and is a leading contributor to dead zones and coral reef destruction.
I'd say their point was intellectually dishonest, but clearly there was no intellect involved.
So this
Smug vegan. Yeah, that's the problem. Most of vegans are smuggish as hell. Oh no, Roadman. More better. If I can describe vegans, the political vegans in the UK are always smug. Sure, every diet has its benefits, but playing the hierarchy card on so like the vegans is always the victim, with the victim card, victim hierarchy card I call it. It's not helping your movement. It's basically push people off joining your little, actually no, your international movement. I want to call it international because I don't think veganism is stuck to a national wide thing, because people from UK also does, who are vegans, I also have vegan diets. So yeah, why, who should I judge really? Who should I judge a smug vegan to play its sarcasm? Yeah, who's going to play the sarcastic satire card here?
This means you can swap the salad for a bacon baguette and feel less guilty.
I exploits animals. The problem is, I think the reason, if you stop eating meats and you can't stop the industry, and there's no purpose in your whole. Basically, like if you want to stop people from eating meat, you have to stop agriculture, and that's terrible. Stopping agriculture, like poultry agriculture. Stopping certain poultry agriculture will influence the world greatly, yes, but in a terrible, consequential, bad way. So how are you, being a utopian, Mike the vegan, going to implement a vegan society? Yeah, how are you going to implement a vegan society, right?
Swap some lettuce leaves for a
It's all opinion-based gibberish.
Chunk of an animal that can recognize itself in the mirror and feel
You mean themselves.
less guilty.
What the hell is this?
No.
You're conflating animal rights with your old pretentious understanding of.
No. Next point.
Okay, smug. My God, I would have been surprised if this guy was either like had post-traumatic stress disorder when I was younger, or when I was younger he loved to bully people who are so indifferent to them, so creative than him.
Basically, man boobs.
Number 9.
What the fuck?
Crazy hormones. Too much soy in a man's diet has
But what happens when things get out of balance? Well, too much soy in a man's diet has been linked to glycomastia,
been linked to gynecomastia,
has been known to
male
cause
breast
loss of
enlargement,
sexual
and has been known to cause a loss of
testosterone. Testosterone. Yeah, we lost testosterone from eating too much soy and tofu. Yeah, yeah. Well, the soy boys. Honestly, I disagree with this one. Out of this, I have to take the bait with Mike the vegan here. I don't terribly sure that lose a lot of testosterone. I think you just soy milk as an alternative is just for the mostly predominantly used for people who are um, lactose intolerant to the dairy, and majority of East Asians like myself are intolerant to certain types of dairy foods like cheddar, but not mozzarella, unfortunately.
of sexual desire.
Again, exactly.
Playing that card seems I can't hear anything. Shit me.
Opposite of the truth. As I mentioned in my video on this topic, looking at this study that gave men 1.7 cups of soy milk a day, they found no difference in
No difference. Who's this back? Cancer epidemiology. You would the freak affect the soy milk consumption on serum estrogen and androgen concentration Japanese men. Oh, Japanese study. Oh, Japanese study. Oh, oh yeah. The very Japanese studies that claim that Fukushima nuclear reactors did not affect the women's um um didn't affect the women's is menstrual cycle. Okay. Uh, Basing all of your like source on soy milk study to debunk this notion that you are wrong, because the Japanese study said that they couldn't find any differences conclusions between the two groups of like enlarged breasts or something, and that's East Asians mostly, that's Japanese. And the funny thing, if you look behind her, study has shown that isoflavones inhibit several enzymes or growth factors involved in signal transduction, such as tyrosine protein kinase and transforming growth factor beta 1213. In addition, isoflavones have estrogenic properties. He is saying there is estrogenic properties as well as causes gallbladder, which is a certain type of condition involved with soy milk consumption. And here you're saying that Japanese men have nothing to. That is so limited, dude. You're a white male. You're a Westerner, white male. You should be doing a study on your fellow brothers and sisters. Your American brothers and sisters are Canadians, not referring to a Far East Asian society. Did you not know our diet, Far East Asian diet, are so different to Western diet? And you conflated saying that Western white men can also drink soy milk without other laxative or other anaglymic consequences. Don't don't trying to play a oh my days, it's snowing outside. Whoa, that got me distracted. Okay, so based from this point of departure, you're saying that soy milk consumption will be affects any people of different ethnic groups will be the same results. They didn't find any problems with it. That sounds so fun fantastic. It's like, wow, we're so all equal. We're all equal. We are the same genetically. There's a difference between why Japanese people think that they are of a higher superior genetic makeup than Americans, because majority of the Japanese people in Japan genetically are homogeneous, more homogeneous than China, by the way. The myth that China is homogeneous is debunked by the number of ethnic groups you encounter in China. mostly are most of the ethnic proportions are Han Chinese, and the other are either ethnic minorities or indigenous natives, and that is not homogeneous. So Japan is a homogeneous island because of in the past time samurai isolation and all that. So to this is conflating argument saying that using this cancer epidemiology study just shows that for Japanese men, it's just focused on Japanese men. I want to. It doesn't begs the question whether Western men, white men, black men, and African men or people from South America effect after they drink soy milk. It has not been studied. It's never been studied right now. So just to say Japanese men, it's not good enough because it's way too homogeneous of a genetic study to say it's way too small. It's tiny. It's tiny. Understanding even though Japanese population is the largest, not compared to China, largest compared to UK.
In their levels of free or total testosterone. But looking at estrone, a type of estrogen, it actually went down by 3%. Doesn't that actually make the
Oh my days, are you this mentally illiterate? He did not say estrone, you. Oh my god. Oh my god, my days. What? Okay. Oh my days. Oh my days. Okay, I'm going to cringe you Americans out of your mind. Um. So you just say the serum estrone. It just proves how debunked the top tens understanding is. Basically, at this point of departure, you're saying that the soil sublimated group is likely to decrease in the serum estrone without much comparison between other ethnicity and genetic makeups, and yeah, so it's just bogus. It's complete bogus. If it's you're aimed at a Western audience, primarily Western audience, including South America. Well, actually, I mean Mexico, Mexico, United States of America, and Canada, Western audience. Well, I would say like also UK audience. Majority of them are white and black and more diverse than for Japanese ethnicity. So this is completely bogus. And you also know, you should know that the complacency level of conformity to authority of scientific establishment in Japan is at an all-time high. And even Noam Chomsky has told that Japan's scientific obligation to question and seek contradictory studies to look at the bigger picture is also limited. So limited that scientific innovation is locked only to one broadside and forgotten the people who are left over who should deserve the most praise, who think creatively and differently with a lovely passion. You don't. That's the point I'm trying to make.
them less feminine? But let's just put the
Less feminine. Your smug attitude. You make people look. You make JP Awakens look like a minuscule actor. Wow. JP Awaken is also, I think, a vegan, maybe. No, he's not a vegan. He mock vegans satirically. I try to. There's no hate, bro. Mike the vegan. There's no hate, but please just cut your little bitchy mouth. It's unnecessary. Just cut out some of this. Oh.
nail in the coffin here. What would happen if you took
You put the nail in the coffin now. So it's already 3 minutes into it, and you're trying to make a full-fledged judgment right now.
those soy isoflavones, those phytoestrogens, and concentrated them way above what people would be eating? Well,
people may say that I'm way too rebellious and hypercritical of Mike the Vegan now, but me being the ponderous critic, I'm here is to appease to the devil advocates and at the same time constructively gave a form of critical advice to Mike the Vegan because I used to be a subscriber to him and I find his videos really interesting.
This meta-analysis looked at actual
Clinical study on no effects of so
soy
his
consumption
theory
as
has
well as
proved that
soy phytoestrogen
now again that the scientific studies have shown that soya has no effect on the body. So by that logic, eating meat has no effect. No, eating meat has the biggest effect on the body, and you should just eat vegetables and be a fucking thin guy like you. And okay, never mind that. I'm also fucking thin, so I don't care. So basically, you're just hyper convoluting the whole notion of why you're so stuck about soy. Well, soy primarily your diet, but you forgot to include other ethnic studies. Are you this bogus?
extracts. The conclusion was,
Yeah.
quote, neither soy protein nor
Neither soy protein nor isoflavones, phytoestrogens. You see, this is the problem. If you have actually talked about phytoestrogens, you could have made a great point. If you actually looked at a video by HB Bumper guy who did a soy diet, and I 100% commend you. Please watch that video, dude. And it just shows you how good. I know it was made after your video, 2 months, but if you have come back and reviewed this video and watch how HB Bomber guy used the clinical studies and went to find the sources of the claim that phytoestrogens make men women by a psychologist who had no biological credentials, then you can know that phytoestrogen is the key to debunking this top 10 questions. But you haven't used it. You haven't used it.
isoflavones affect
You could have
reproductive
just literally said previously phytoestrogen in soya
hormone
did not
concentrations
affect
in
any
men.
of
And how
the
about
bodily
actual mammal
fluids.
hormones
And
in cow's milk?
personally,
Looking to
and the
this
chemical
study,
makeup does not result in the dreadful effects of dairy milk. You could have said, oh, this, but instead you came to the conclusion that the exposure to estrogen, like some kind of like plastic like thing, when it's actually not.
subjects fed cow's milk had a 20% drop in testosterone if they were men, and for all sexes, well, this is estrone, that same estrogen measured in the previous study, going up by 25%. And all-time 10, seriously, is this something that would actually ruin the world? I mean, everybody loves boobs.
Number 8. California drought. The super healthy nuts, mostly grown in drought hit California, need millions of litres of water to be produced. So you might want to think twice before you pour it in your cereal.
As Happy Healthy Vegan pointed out in their response video to this, University of California Davis.
Okay, here's the problem with happy healthy vegan. They're quite really biased towards chosen studies. Like they used to really let pick and selectively cherry pick studies that are actually mostly done by the USDA, which favors vegan diet, vegetarian diet more than meat diet, because not because of scientific basis, more of because of profitable basis. Because you know what, the veganism diet trend has been so perfect, and congratulate on you that you have made a total business out of your seemingly democratic movement and helping people to live out of poverty. You're basically giving capitalists the ability to harness and exploit your movement for the betterment of people who really need to be educated about things. So yeah, well, what's the point of having the so-called movement that you want to help people when you in the at the same time also sucking up to the big businesses who are giving you billions of dollars from exploiting the popularity of your movement and diet as a trademark for like labeling for the food. For example, gluten free. Sorry, no, not gluten free. I nearly went out of the mark. I mean, it's vegan food certified. Yeah, vegan certified foods. Actually, I like eating gluten free foods. So yeah. He says specifically the food that grew for the animals to eat.
They're hard to find. Well, you have to really look.
He said forages alfalfa. I says tomato. You California. I'm sorry, dude. Do you see California as a place where just grows organic meat? It's organic vegetables mostly. Yeah, they certainly do have organic meats. They use a lot of water, but there's a tiny, tiny percentage compared to the amount of tomatoes, fresh vegetables produced every year. It needs a lot of water to cultivate them, you know. Yeah, 是不是爸爸？你得要很多水去那个种那个炒，我给那个就是种蔬菜炒的，这样花很多钱，比那个牛肉还有那些羊肉还更多，是不是？啊，OK。Yeah, and also that's a small percentage because a lot of the animals they have better welfare than the rest of American states. You see, California has the strictest organic standard. But let's forget this guy. The guy who's talking about it is talking about top 10, talking about took into the account of conventional food farming too. So yeah, so overall, I would say that generally there's either been something wrong with the graph or there's something seriously wrong with your source selection for the interpretation of this California crops. California is the most strictest place to grow your food, and there's so many policies and regulations you have to go through to check that if your food is organic and doesn't get sprayed with glyphosate, which I strongly support. But having to disclaim that pasture forages and other poultry animals growing is causing more water loss, uses more water than actually fruit and vegetables.
They're the fourth line down, combined with pistachios. Barely a drop.
Statistics I mentioned earlier.
Forward. I can't hear something. Sorry.
About how animal products actually are objectively ruining the world.
Number 6, cancer.
Objectively, whenever time I hear somebody say objectively, there's a red flag going on. The paradox here is many Americans generally, including you, Mike the vegan, has do not understand the idea of objectivity. When what you actually mean is subjectively, because for example, I have experience with all those ANCAPs, especially followers of Raka Ali, who claims that uh, Ancapism, Mises Institute, and the support of green food, whole plant vegetable growing will help the world, transform the world through the natural means where it just transforms overnight like a revolution peacefully. And that's voluntarily, it was voluntary. It was voluntary. No, it's not. Saying voluntary, it does not make it voluntary. Yeah, that's the problem. Objectively speaking, what you data you took is limited to a particular place, not to a particular sect of European commissions where they study everything. You know, I would actually trust more of a European study than African American study from California because it's just one study. It's not like a group of interim studies together. It's not enough to prove anything. here to support your argument.
And heart disease. The long-term vegetarian diet can alter human DNA, raising the risk of cancer and heart disease. They found that populations who have had a primarily vegetarian diet for generations are far more likely to carry DNA, which makes them susceptible to inflammation.
There's a kind of disagree a bit on top 10. I totally disagree with this, but you're 100% fair to judge me, Mike the vegan. I'll say that from this claim that there's a DNA, it doesn't specify which why primarily vegetarian diet for to make them susceptible to inflammation. This is hyperbolic because it's not referring to vegans most of the time. It's gone on tangent onto the vegetarian diet while forgetting, neglecting about the vegans. The vegans do not prepare uh, vegetables the same as the vegetarians. My God, have you heard of the raw vegans who just literally pluck plants from the ground and wash them and not even spray anything on them and clean them or anything and eat it? Like, oh, that's a great kale, and oh, that's a great celery. Vegetarian, on the other hand, mostly boil the vegetables as soup, and sometimes mostly fry. No, no, I mean freeze them and cook, oven bake them, over bake the vegetables. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll tell you in a second. But yeah, mostly also which I think top 10 also made the mistake is a vegetarian generations will carry DNA that's susceptible to inflammation of the body. And then his backup is saying that forgetting conflating vegetarians with vegans, and vegans are vegetarians are oxymoron because mostly the vegetarian converts to vegans have the inflammation and susceptible to inflammation because they drank dairy and had a lot of smoothies before milk dairy based highly dairy concentrated milk whey powder smoothies for generation and on generations while they didn't try other milk like soya or almond milk. Yeah,
As somebody who originally went vegan to prevent heart disease and cancer, this is
I
Pretty
know it's
ridiculous. This is
totally
probably
bollocks. I know it's totally bollocks because he's oxymoronically stating, contradicting all these um, vegans with vegetarians. But I think you should have point that out because he conflated vegetarians with vegans. Vegetarians, on the other hand, mostly drink milk, which is been proven to cause bone damage. I mean, not almond milk. I mean dairy milk. But please don't give me the source word remark, a stupid remark of Peter saying that milk causes autism or milk is the number one cause of autism.
one of the most tenuous.
Yeah, I think I'm done with this now actually. So yeah, thank you for listening and be back soon for more and more of my understanding.